deep breath.
What is happening right now?
Calm you
I like
learn,
fishing.
and appreciate a quieter moment in Sanctuary. But who knows what else
I
lurks beneath
I
the
like
wide
fishing.
dark sea. When
Oh,
Lord of
shit.
Hatred is released, we'll also be making major updates across both seasonal and eternal realms. Permanent updates across realms will include the major skill tree improvements we've discussed, alongside a level cap increase to 70, extending torment tiers, a loot filter, map overlay,
Wait, loot filter?
pathfinding, plus
What?
a pit overhaul and itemization updates.
With a loot filter in
players
game?
on the seasonal realm, there will be character resets.
The
a
audio is
refresh
dog
to
shit, by the way. It's
season
not.
rank
That's
challenges
just
with
their
new
audio.
rewards, and updates to the tower and leaderboard beta, all falling within the Season of Reckoning. This season brings 2 additional season ranks, unlocking over 100 season rank challenges for those who keep climbing through Sanctuary's trials. Push past your limits, conquer fresh objectives, and claim rewards worthy of your growing legend.
With this update, we're here to make more affixes matter and make item choices contribute meaningfully to your overall power. Common, magic, and rare items contain meaningful value in Endgame because they can serve as crafting bases. You can later add affixes to them and upgrade their rarity using the Heraldric Cube. They will continue to drop in Torment difficulties, including as ancestral items, and they can also roll with greater affixes. With this update, auto-salvaging of lower rarity items in Torment has been disabled. Something we're excited about is damage multipliers on gear. Gone are the days of tossing out items with additive damage. Damage multipliers stack additively with themselves, but are multiplicative, vastly leveling up the item game and depth when it comes to the perfect item.
Jesus Christ.
For uniques, we're opening things up by reducing the number of always fixed affixes and rolling more from the available pool, giving you room to chase truly optimized combinations for your build.
That's not a unique
Tempered
item.
affixes went through an overhaul. Unique and mythic
even is
items
that?
can now be tempered.
It's a rare item in the mod.
200 legendary aspects have been refreshed with design updates. Gems are getting a major upgrade. Weapon gem effects are significantly stronger, and we're including new gem tiers. We've heard your feedback on stackable items, and we've increased the stacking size to 1,000 to help with inventory management.
1,000!
On the quality of life side, one of the biggest additions is the
Imagine
loot
that you-
filter. This is a power user feature the community has been asking for a long time. You can export and import filters, hide item text, hide ground effects, hide both, or recolor text to make the drops that matter instantly stand out. Hunting for the perfect 4 out of 4 base, you can call out the affixes you care about and set a minimum number required, so those upgrade-ready items pop while the noise fades away. Loot filters will also support newly introduced systems such as the Talisman. The map overlay is here, and it completely changes how combat and moment-to-moment flow feels in Diablo IV. When the overlay is up, the minimap gets out of the way to broaden your view of the game space.
It's basic, the standard
and
map
you've got
overlay.
quick controls to tune it on the fly. Keybinds for opacity, keybinds for zoom, and options to adjust the coloration of the overlay to match your preference.
Damn.
For those looking to continue with a smooth flow, you can enable pathfinding, which draws your route through Sanctuary directly to your destination.
That's a
You'll
mobile.
no
what is
longer
this?
need to
What?
stare at your minimap to make sure you're headed the right way.
What is this mobile game shit, bro?
The level cap has increased, expanding the ceiling for
mobile game
long-term
shit, bro.
progression.
The fuck?
Torment tiers are being refined as well to support a consistent feel as you progress further, and to match, the rewards track better with the risk you're taking.
Better rewards.
We've made important improvements to layer bosses, focused on clarity, choice, and cleaner loot chasing. Every layer boss now has its own dedicated pool of unique items. Layer bosses now share a single key, and all greater layer bosses share another, reducing friction and inventory space. Bartok and Astaroth are now in the layer boss system, and the Butcher is now a greater layer boss in both
What is
seasonal
reducing the
and
friction?
eternal realms. Lord Zir is now only one click away on the world map.
Soon you can play the game with just one button. Press the spacebar key over and over
We've
again.
made updates to runes to reduce friction
Your
and
character
make
plays
progression
itself.
smoother. The result is a more streamlined system and an indirect buff to farming the specific runes you care about. The rune pool has been updated and we've removed underutilized runes. All remaining runes now fit cleanly into the Socketable's inventory. Runes have also been heavily integrated into our Heraldric Cube crafting system.
Pit improvements are here, along with tuning and quality of life updates to make each run more exciting and more rewarding. Some of the improvements you've seen in the tower are coming to the pit, and we've also removed a few legacy systems along the way. The pit has grown, literally. Every run now spans 5 full floors, clearly marked by pit depth, so you always know how deep you've gone and how close you are to the finish. Floor generation has been rebuilt from the ground up for smoother flow, less frustrating dead ends, and a more consistent rhythm that keeps you moving forward. Nearly every environment in the game can now appear in the pit, pulling from both expansions and past seasons. And there are rare floors where you'll stumble onto brand new layout mashups found nowhere else. To keep the focus on action, we've also removed death and resurrection penalties, along with boss shadow attacks. Spawning in the pit has been tuned to feel fair, deadly, and exciting. Shrines now use a flat spawn chance, giving each run a more consistent baseline, while still allowing for the occasional lucky spike. Almost every variant of every monster family can now appear, including very rare and special populations. Progress now scales with real danger, meaning tougher enemies push the bar faster. And yes, treasure goblins can now invade the pit, alone or with all their friends,
dude?
with bosses, goblins, and treasure chests all capable of dropping loot. Pit mastery objectives are now fully formalized, with the tracker clearly
Guys,
showing
I can't
both
check the
party
audio in
and
the middle of watching a
personal
live stream.
progress.
Think about it.
Boss encounters waste no time. Bosses now ambush your party by spawning directly on top of you, and without clearing existing enemies. On top of that, the pit will now pull from the tower boss roster, injecting even more variety and unpredictability into every run.
I mean, the audio sounds dog
Since we
shit.
introduced
Like
the tower
the background
and
music sounds
leaderboards,
dog shit.
It's been incredible to listen to your feedback, watch the competition evolve, and keep learning right alongside the community. Now we're bringing a focused set of updates, more reasons to climb, clearer ways to compete, and smoother moment-to-moment play. The Artificer's Stash is a new feature coming to the tower. This provides valuable caches that contain items with guaranteed greater affixes, along with currencies and even lore books. These treasures can only be earned by climbing the tower, and first-time completion of higher tower tiers
Are they catering
awards
to
the
like China or
Artificer's
something,
favor.
or what?
The new build viewer captures a snapshot of every build that ranks on the leaderboard. When you click a top player's leaderboard entry, the viewer displays that saved snapshot, making it easier for everyone
that's the whole
to see
character. That's
which
sick.
builds are performing best in tower competition. New environments, monsters,
That just
and
shows you how
bosses
that's
are
a skill
arriving
twig.
to keep the tower experience fresh.
I must
In
admit, we
addition
can't
to
view
starting
people's
a
profile
tower
in
run
PoE,
when
which
you
sucks.
exit the circle, your run will now automatically begin after a brief countdown. And hey, did you mess up the run? Did you just barely make it? Did the orb goblin run away? Is that the best you got? The Artificer himself will now offer some commentary. Please try your best. He is watching. Lastly,
You
we're making
suck.
tower competition timing better and fairer. Based on player feedback, leaderboards now start on Thursdays after a release or patch. This permits the time needed to address any major issues before the community-wide competitive aspect of the tower begins. That's a quick look at what's ahead with Lord of Hatred and Season of Reckoning. We'll have more details in our blogs, patch notes, and deep dives. So if something here caught your eye, you'll be able to dig in right away. See you all in Sanctuary. Welcome.
Whew. Okay, that is a lot to chew on. As Zavin mentioned at the end of that video, we will have our official blog launching after the stream, so you can go and check that out if there's extra details you want to chew on. But additionally, we will have Q&A towards the end of the stream, so if you have any questions that weren't answered in that overview video, feel free to drop them in chat. We'll grab those and answer those close to the end of the stream. But who better to get into everything with me than a very familiar cast crew? We've got Colin, Zavin, and Art back on the stream. Welcome, fellas.
Hey.
Yeah, great to be back.
Great to have you guys here. So I know we did go through, everything coming with Lord of Hatred in that overview. We do also have Season of Reckoning launching at the same time as the expansion. And I know this is going to be a little bit different of a season because it is coming out in tandem with the expansion. What can players kind of expect to see for Season of Reckoning?
Yeah, so kind of as we covered, there's a huge slew of itemization updates. Skill trees have been revamped for every single class. There's just a ton there. In addition to that, season rank has actually expanded. There's more of it. It's over 100 different objectives to conquer, and eventually Tower will be turning on, as we said. But yeah, this will be kind of a special season to keep focus on the expansion. And the idea is future seasons will return more to the regular stuff that we're used to.
And you'll still be able to play the campaign and all that good stuff, both in Seasons and Eternal, whatever tickles your fancy.
Mm-hmm. And I love, too, for Season of Reckoning, because so much of it relies on seasonal rank, there's so much that you get to passively do just as you're playing the game, right? So it's not as though it silos you to a totally different content piece. You get to chip away on it just as you're playing through the expansion and everything else. So
yeah. There's also a lot of goodies packed in there.
A ton. Yeah, a lot of rewards spread throughout.
Yeah, gotta love some rewards. But of course, I do really want to know from you guys, with the expansion coming out soon, with so much launching, what are you all most excited for players to get their hands on for the Lord of Hatred expansion?
Yeah, I would say something that exists in the game. I would say probably the skill trees. I think, we've talked to death about it, but really it's hard to sort of understate or overstate, I should say, how transformative it is to actually play with it. Like, it's actually hard for us to play on live right now just because there's so many more builds. Art mentioned in the video that we touched like over 200 aspects. We've also added just a ridiculous amount of uniques to the game. We've ensured that like literally every skill in the game has a unique that can talk to it and interface with it.
Why do it like that?
Why not? Variants and the sort of
upgrades design
in the
so
skill
much.
Tree. And I just can't wait to see kind of all the crazy
specifically
things
interacted with
that
one
players
skill.
pick up. Like a huge goal was to like blow out the number of builds in the game. Like if you love build crafting or if you love
like
making your
set
own
items?
sort of zero to hero journey with tons of weird odds and ends in your build, like this is the expansion for you. And I just can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, across the video and even in the blog that's going to recap a lot of what we talk about here, there's only so much we can do to kind of describe how all these changes are going to be. You really are just going to have to jump in game and experience it for yourself because all of us play Diablo so differently. And I think I saw in chat as that came up, Sky Dragon said, "Inject that into my veins." So I think that kind of fits it pretty well. So pretty pumped about those changes.
Sky Dragon.
How about you, Zavin?
Warplanes, hands down. I'm so excited. We've never really had something like this to just so deeply modify all of our endgame activities. It really is, when we say like you get to make your own endgame, we really mean it. We have 100 nodes across all the activities in the game. Some of them actually cross-pollinate. So you can put, make choices in one tree that modify another one. So there's just a bunch of variety for players to kind of chew on, sink their teeth into. I can't wait. It's such a different way to think about what you do in your moment-to-moment in the end game.
I'll masticate
there hasn't
fuck
been
out of
anything like
Equal,
it
bro.
since. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think much like the skill tree, it's fun to tinker and craft all these things, and then it's even more fun to send it out into the wild to see what crazy combinations people come up with.
Yeah, and then it's especially in tandem with all the skill tree stuff we're doing, right? You get to change kind of how you do the end game and also what your end game is. You get to control kind of both halves of this now.
That's rad. That's rad. How about you, Art?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what kind of builds people cook up that we've never even thought of, right? So, for me, I mean, definitely excited to have people try all the new systems. Skill tree. There's a talisman. There's the cube. We've kind of redone everything, updated everything. But really, what excites me most is just kind of players experiencing all of this together, like holistically in concert for the full, like for a brand new Diablo experience, really.
Yeah, and it's something that we actually do point out in the blog that I think is really exciting too, that we touched on a little bit in the video, is like there is so much that's changed to the game regardless of whether or not you own the expansion. So if you're just coming back to, play Diablo over the weekend and you just want to get it back into it for a little bit, so much of the game does feel different. And, if you're playing on Eternal, if you're not playing in the expansion, so much has changed for anyone who plays Diablo. So like you said, all players get to experience it at the same time. So it's a lot of really cool changes.
Yeah, I actually saw a comment where I was watching the Warlock video, and they're like, "Oh, whoever like designed and worked on the Warlock and Paladin, like the team that did that should do that to the rest of the classes." And it's like, well, you're in luck because absolutely the same team has killed it and updated every single class, so you don't even need the Warlock or Paladin to experience sort of this new, I would say, generation of class, which is super cool.
That's unreal. That's awesome. Excellent. Okay, so I know we've got some questions that we've gathered in Twitch chat. We're actually going to kick it over to Q&A now and answer some of your questions that you've been dropping in. So first things first, we've got a question here. We've seen a lot of reactions and feedback on inventory. Can you guys speak a little bit on some of the things we've seen?
Guys.
Yeah, so I think some of this has been reaction to some of the reviews and stuff that have been coming out. And for what it's worth, anyone who knows Marak, our favorite dancing Fallen, he was kind of available in those things, and so we had a lot of people loading up on stuff. Generally speaking, we've made a lot of changes to the game, which actually I'll let these guys kind of chip in and give some answers to. But starting with, we actually have, if you buy Lord of Hatred, you get a stash tab. So inventory pressure has been something we've been thinking about how to relieve, and that's one way to do it, but there's a bunch of other stuff we want to do.
They fixed the coding with that thing with the stash tabs?
Yeah, I mean,
loading everyone's characters?
Say, like, one of the changes that we made was essentially to reduce and remove incense and elixirs, because we felt like it was one of those like really annoying uptime games that just wasn't super fun in the end game. To compensate, something we saw people use these for is the XP boost. So we've actually like massively increased the amount of XP you get from monster kills while leveling up, which actually translates much more into the difficulty tiers as well, because a lot of the difficulty tier XP comes from monster kills. So we've massively increased the amount of XP for monster kills. You don't have to go and do quests now to necessarily get to max level quickly, which is awesome. Art, I know we've also done a ton of stuff on the lair bosses.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, what are they even doing? You don't even have to do quests. You don't do anything. You just level up. You just kill monsters and you do activities, and you just skip skip campaign button. You can skip the campaign. Yep, we've made lots of items that they're all set bonuses, and you just put them on, and they just drop out like crazy because hey guys, I'll be real. They make some questionable ass design decisions. I don't understand. What I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna raw dog. And I'm gonna see if I like it. And either I will like it or I won't like it. I'm not gonna, yeah, either I'm gonna like it or I'm not gonna like it. I don't know.